talking about Unit 3 study guide. Okay, Chapter 3 study guide. Our first situation is a straight up scatter plot. The y hat equals 64.93 plus 0.63x. So y represents height, x represents age. Talking about predicted height, 22.5 months old, so I know that. So it's a simple substitution. Okay. Plug that in, you end up with 79.105. For rounding, there we go. For our next equation, we're going to use the same one, except now it's 20 months. Now we need to find predicted, so we'll do that first. So 64.93 plus 0.63 times, in this case, it's 20 months. So that's 77.53. Now, since she's 80, remember, residual is always y minus y hat. So I need to subtract that, end up with 2.47. Okay. Difference between a positive and a negative residual is 2.47. Positive means she's 2.47 taller than the predicted height. Negative 2.47, like answer A, will tell you that she's 2.47 under. Question 3. This is a reading comprehension question. So income and years of education their child competes. So children from wealthier families tend to go to school for longer. So wealth implies longer school. So we can think that explanatory has got to be the parent's income. So we can eliminate D and E from that. Now, if we graph them, we see the explanatory variable is parent's income. So wealthier means as the income increases, the explanatory increases, the amount of school is longer, so that also increases. So the wealth increases and the length of school increases. At the same time, that would be a positive association. Okay. Question 4 is a fun little question. Community college finds that the correlation between their entrance exam and scholastic achievement is negative 1.08. On the basis of this, you could tell that the college should hire a new statistician. R is strictly between negative 1 and positive 1. I guess I should write less than or equal to. Okay? So negative 1.08 is nonsense. For question number 5, we're talking about correlation between corn prices and soybean prices. So it says R is equal to 0.7. Now, if we remember, when we talk about correlation, you can think about things in terms of above the mean or below the mean. Or you can think about as one increases, the other one increases. So a lot of times we say this positive correlation means that if you increase one, the other one has to increase. But it also can refer just to the general relationship, like when we talked about the y bar and the x bar, right? So this is like the x bar, and this is the y bar graph. You have a scatter plot, something like this. So you see something like this, a scatter plot like that has general positive correlation. It tends to be when you above average in the x direction, whatever variable you use for that, the y direction is also above average. And same thing for when it's below average, it tends to be below average. Tends to be, doesn't have to be. So that's what we would say for this one. When corn prices are above average, soybean prices also tend to be above average. B, there's almost no relation if the R value was close to 0, right? So if the R is close to 0, we'd say there's no relation. If you said like R value is like 0.2 or 0.1, negative 0.15, something like that. C would be a negative correlation, right? R would be negative, okay? That's where C would go with. D would be, that would be an interpretation of slope. That's an interpretation of the slope of a regression line. We don't have that. We have R. And E, well, that's a gimme. That's a giveaway. Okay. Looking for question number 6. Going along at a pretty brisk pace here. Correlation and regression require there are clearly identified explanatory and response variables. Regression, yes. Correlation, no. Remember that correlation, it doesn't matter which one's the explanatory, which one's the response. So this is false. Scatter plots require that both variables be quantitative. That is true. You cannot graph explanatory, you cannot graph a qualitative or categorical variable in a scatter plot. And every least squares regression passes through line x bar, y bar, the average values. That is true. Okay. So 2 and 3 are true. Question 7 talks about the approximate linear relationship between the height of females. This is an annoyance question. You got to go through and check each one out. So step A says the estimated slope is 6.01, which implies that female children between the average and the ages of, it should be of, not off, 5 and 18 increase by about 6 centimeters for each year they grow older. Okay. So by about, predicted, again, to say about, that's okay. I know we prefer to say predicted, but you have to be a little bit flexible in your interpretation here. This is okay. So we can eliminate that from our options. The estimated height of a female child who is 10 years old is about 110 centimeters. We're going to have to calculate that. So we'll save that one for later. Estimated intercept is 50.3. We can conclude from this the typical height of the female children at birth is 50.3 centimeters. Now this is an interesting question because we can go back and read it. We're talking about a range that says from 5 to 18 years. That's this model's specifications. Does the model say anything about 0 years? No. This is false. Okay. Now that's going to be our answer. We should make sure that there's not one that maybe looks a little bit better, but that one should definitely get our dander up. Because interestingly enough, 50.3 centimeters is pretty reasonable for birth height. 20 inches it's about, and that is pretty reasonable. But from our careful reading, we'd say this is definitely a good possibility. Question D says the average height of female children when they are 5 years old is about 50% of the average height when they're 18 years old. So this is a calculation times 2. You just got to calculate them both. Okay. My niece is 8. She's about 115, so we need to calculate this one as well. So we have to calculate how many different things. We have to calculate 10, 5, 18, and 8. So to do this, we do need a calculator. All right. So I'm going to put my equation in here into my TI-84. Works the same on the Inspire. I'm just going to put the calculator in. So 50.3 plus 6.01x. Okay. And I can go to my table. Right? To do that, there is a way to do this. I can do something called ask on my table. Okay. And then when I actually go to my table, it asks for the values. So I can put in, I know I need to calculate a 10. It's one of my things. 110.4. I need to calculate 5. I need to calculate 18. And I need to calculate 8. Okay. So let's look at what we got now. So we got these values. Okay. So for the first one, it says the estimated slope is, or the estimated height is about 110. That's true. Okay. True. Next one says children at 5 years old are about 50% of the average height at 18 years old. So if we compared 5 years to 18, you see that 80%, 80 times 2, excuse me, is about 160. So about 50%, that's also definitely true, okay? My niece is 8 years old. She's 115 centimeters tall. Is she taller than the average for girls her age? Yes, because 98.38 is the average height. So that would also be true. So we did the calculations to make sure that C is our option, and it turns out that C is a good option. Okay, you're interested in predicting the cost of heating houses. This talks about what does least squares refer to. Okay, so when you have a regression line, what you're doing is you're minimizing the distance from the actual values to here. Now we call these distances residuals, right? You can have positive residuals, you can have negative residuals. You can have large residuals, you can have small residuals. But we want to minimize this. Now, if we just add the residuals up, the problem with doing that is you'll end up with 0 because you have some above, some below. Residuals is not a good method to use. What we instead use is we square them. We square the residuals. That gives us positive values for above and below. And it also has the effect of augmenting things that are really far from a potential line. So we're trying to minimize the sum of the squares of the residuals. That's what it means, okay? All that other stuff is dressing. Question number 9, this should be a pretty much automatic. When you're looking at this, before you even see something, you see that residuals. Is there a pattern? Sure, looks like a big smiley face, minus the eyes. So our residual plot from this least square fit. Residual plot tells you about the linear model. It's not good. There's a pattern. A says it confirms. Definitely not. Ruler plot does not confirm, nor does it rule out the linearity of the data. Oh, it rules out linearity. Residual plot suggests the model may be linear, but more data points are needed. Again, the residual plot clearly indicates the data isn't linear. There's our winner. And part E, that's a distractor that makes no sense. The residual plot's not an appropriate means. Of course it is. It's our best means to evaluate the linear model. All right. Now we're on to question number 10. This is the one that kind of requires a little bit of extra information. So we are looking at computer regression, okay? See where it says constant? That's A. See where it says height? It says predictor height, and this thing, it says a coefficient, that's B. The coefficient is the coefficient of the constant. The coefficient of height is B. Now, when you see regression like this, you also have regression in multiple variables that you can do through computer data, computer processing, mini-tab jump, any of those things have multiple regression, not just linear. So that's why they don't call it slope. They call it a coefficient. And if you look at this coefficient, you see A is the constant, B is the height. That's where we see it. So height in this case is our x, and the arm span is the predictor, is the response. So if we were to think about this as like our arm span hat equals, now I'm going to have to squeeze this in, 11.5474 plus 0.84024 times height, okay? So we have arm span and height, that's how we would write our equation. Okay, fair enough. The least squares residual regression model would make a prediction that's 1.64 inches higher than Da Vinci predicted for a 62-inch tall student. That's a calculation, okay? This one we're also going to have to do a calculation. The least squares regression line has a steeper slope than the equation for Da Vinci's relationship between arm span and height. Now, Da Vinci's relationship says they were 1 to